And we are live.
Thank you.
Well, holler if you do this. I had one that really made a lot of noise. I'm sitting at a desk and I thought, no, I'm bringing the quiet one.
All right, everybody all set?
All set.
All right. We're going to call to order the Morgan County Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for February 24th, 2025. We do have a quorum this evening with all members present. Mr. Rumbaugh, would you care to lead us all in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Very honored to. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Rumbaugh. Our next item on the agenda is, man, that is loud. Is that loud out there? It seems loud up here. Is the election of officers for 2025. Any discussion on this, gentlemen?
Can you do it into the mic?
I make a motion, we keep the same officers we've had.
Have a motion to continue with myself as chair, Mr. Rumbaugh as vice chair, Mr. Maxwell as secretary. Is there a second to that?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. That is carried. Are there any changes to the agenda this evening?
I read both copies I got, and they're both the same, and I move we approve as sent.
So the agenda is approved. What about the minutes from our last meeting,
That's
which I believe was
both
in
the minutes
December?
of the December 30th meeting and the, we did not have a January meeting,
That is correct.
so these would be the December 30th, 2024 meeting.
You're making a motion to approve those
We'll
minutes?
approve those
sent?
as sent.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, please raise your right hand, say aye. Aye. That is approved as well. At this time, we'll ask Mr. Peden, the board's attorney, to swear in everyone who's going to speak tonight. Thank you, Mr. Peden. Our first item on the agenda this evening is under old business. This is public hearing D-24-19. Dean Miller, on behalf of DJ Meat Properties LLC, is requesting a development standard variance to allow 15-foot front yard setback for a covered porch addition. The property is located at 2530 South Glen Cove in Jackson Township and is zoned R2. And gentlemen, as sure you all recall, this was continued from our meeting back in November of 2024. For this application, I have Larry D. Miller signed up to speak, and I have no one else. Mr. Miller?
I guess I'm just coming back to see where we stand, what I need to do. I got the survey like you asked.
So did that clear up the question on the easement? Anything else you'd like to tell us this evening, Mr. Miller?
I don't have anything.
Gentlemen, any questions for Mr. Miller?
How y'all getting along with the homeowners association?
Good.
Good?
Any other questions for the applicant, gentlemen?
I have none.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Miller. Ms. Parker, you mind shedding a little light on this and refresh our memories of what we were looking for from the applicant from November's meeting?
Certainly. So I think it's probably helpful to look in your handouts, and you'll see that the surveyor's location report is right at the front of your packet. And I kind of highlighted for you in pink where the right-of-way, or the building setback line is, and then the blue line represents the easement. And our issue was that that covered porch that's in place now comes right up to the edge of the blue line, which is the utility easement and the right-of-way. So there was question about that. He did provide the surveyor's location report, and I took that downstairs to the auditor's office, to our plat technician, so she could evaluate it, because as you can tell, on the illustration that I provided you back in November, it looks like the right-of-way of the cul-de-sac encroaches into this yard. So using the surveyor's location report, having the plat technician look at it, she agreed with that surveyor's location report and said that when that cul-de-sac right-of-way was drawn in on our parcel layer, it was shortened somehow. She couldn't explain it because she wasn't here at that time, but it didn't really merit going back and having to spend some time and money to have that changed. So we're gonna go off the surveyor's location report. Makes the most sense, it appears to be accurate. And so now the right-of-way across the front of the property, instead of curving in with the cul-de-sac, it's straight across. So it still means that that covered porch does encroach into the front yard setback, but it's no worse than the house. And the house was built in 71, probably before anybody was paying attention to those kinds of things. I think the grade of the yard was part of what drove them to push the house further to the front. So there's all of those things, we can't really change the past. Honestly, I think the porch looks much better on the front of this house, improves its aesthetic quality. It's been updated, which had sat there sort of neglected for years. My recommendation is to go ahead and approve this encroachment. It doesn't go into the easement, so if it had, that might be different. But I recommend in favor of this in order to, I think it's a good balance. And the HOA, I don't think will be upset with this.
Thank you very much. Gentlemen, any
too much?
questions for Ms. Parker?
Yes, I guess, the very last page of what we sent is a yellow right-of-way, and it shows the subject property basically in the corner of it. If the
Right.
way I'm looking at it, it'd be about from 9 o'clock to midnight. On the other drawing, it shows that the cul-de-sac starts at the corner of his property. So we're talking about some old-time era many years ago?
Yes. When the county drew the cul-de-sac in on our parcel layer. So really, it's something that we put in the wrong place. We shortened it up instead of putting it where it is reflected on the surveyor's location report.
Would be the first screw-up out there.
Sure. Or anywhere. I mean, mistakes do get made.
Yeah.
It just depends on the information that you have at the time, so. But, didn't seem fair to continue to hold that over the head of the new owner, so.
Thank you.
Any other
Gentlemen, any other
questions?
questions?
Okay.
No,
Thank
thank you
you.
very much. All right, we didn't have anyone else signed up to speak on behalf of this. When we heard this initially, when the applicant came in front of us, we read the findings of facts into record at that time. Open for discussion, gentlemen?
It sounds like they've met everything we need to meet, and I would be more than happy to approve it.
Any other discussion? Yeah, I agree with Bill. It gives us a chance to correct some things. I do want to thank Mr. Miller for coming in and doing the things that we set forth at our last meeting, getting the surveyor's reports, and we could define where the lines are. I know there was some confusion around that from all of us, I believe. So we appreciate you doing that. I would certainly support this application this evening as well. Any other discussion? If not, open for a motion.
I'll move that we approve the development standard variance D-24-19 with all the findings of fact being found true.
Thank you. Have a motion to approve. Second to that motion, Mr. McGrath. Thank you very much. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Say aye. Aye. It is unanimously approved. Again, thank you, Mr. Miller, for following through the way that we asked you to do so. Thank you. All right, our next item on the agenda this evening is under new business. It's public hearing D-25-02. Woodson Cheek Jr. is requesting a development standard variance to increase the maximum living area for an accessory dwelling unit. The property is located at 4724 North Bowman Road in Ashland Township and is zoned for agriculture. For this application this evening, I have looks like 3 members of the Cheek family signed up in support of, and 1 person signed up as a interested party to this. So at this time, we'll ask for, who's going to be speaking? Are you Woody?
I am.
Okay. So I didn't go through this with the previous applicant because he'd been here before, but what we ask of you this evening is when you come up to the podium, and this goes for anyone speaking, please give us your name and your address. If you're the applicant, we want to know in great detail what it is that you want to do and why the board should approve your request. If you're in support of that, just let us know why you're in support of it, but we need your name and address for the record. And if you're interested in this or in opposition to it, we would ask again for your name and address, and then please tell us what your interest is or why and what your opposition to it is. So, thank you. So I have Woody, is it Woodson? Is that your
That's
legal
my
name? You
given
go by
name.
Woody?
Woody is,
Okay, so if you can start off by giving us your name and address.
Yep.
Tell us what you want to do and tell us why we should approve this, please.
name is Woodson Cheek Jr. My address is 6047 North Brummett Road, Quincy, Indiana. We're looking to build an accessory dwelling on my son's property in 550 square foot extra in excess of what the variance, whatever it's called. We're getting older, so we're looking to simplify things where we're a little closer to the family and be able to take care of each other, actually.
Anything else you'd like to tell the board this evening?
It's just going to be a 2-bedroom, 2-bath house, 2 bedrooms because grandchildren, children from out of state come in. If we need a caretaker in the future, then we've got the space to do that with. We're making the house ADA compliant. The extra wide hallways, extra wide doorways, etc. in that manner.
What will the total footage of the house be now? When you add this addition, what will the total footage of the house be?
I'm sorry.
The total footage.
Total footage,
with the addition.
1,350 square feet.
Say that again?
1,350 square feet.
Thank you very much.
Are you building this yourself?
No, I am not. Well, I'm contracting it to be built.
Building going to match the current dwelling as far as the aesthetics go of the structure?
Yes, it'll be a modern structure.
Gentlemen, any other questions for the applicant?
I guess I might have one for you, but Mrs. Parker, is there going to need to be a driveway agreement for these 2 units or not?
They're required by ordinance to use the same existing driveway that's on the site.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, any other questions?
Sounds pretty logical.
No? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Gabriel Cheek? Thank you. And Sandy Cheek? Thank you. I'm going to take a stab at this. I apologize. I can't read the writing, but I'm going to guess Gerald Workin? Watkin? Come on up, please.
Excuse me, my name is Gerald Watkins, 4647 North Bauman Road, Quincy, Indiana, 47456. I am the property owner on the three sides of the property in question. I am not for or against what they're trying to do. I understand it. I've got family that I want close to, but I want to give you some instances that the county did not allow it and was kind of upsetting to people. You know Bobby Dale Sims, Gordon, when he passed away, Steve and Robin, or Teresa, was to get house, drive, joining building, yard. And when they went to do the title work and stuff like that, it didn't meet county requirements. So they had to rezone it or go out and survey it again. Then they got it up to standards and they was able to do it. In my case, a few years ago, I purchased a piece of ground that adjoined me. It had a little farmhouse on it, and we fixed it up so one of my sons could live there. On the same ground, the gentleman that owned it, Eric Wiener, the German, had put in a brand-new port basement. So I come over to the zoning office and asked them what I would need. They told me, well, why don't we just send somebody out? So they did. 2 or 3 days later, I got a phone call. Gentleman come out, looked at the basement, because we was wanting to build on it for one of my sons. He said, yeah, everything looked fine, except for when you get done building, you gotta tear the little house down. Why? That's non-productive. I understand what Sandy and Woody, I've known them my whole life, are trying to do. I'm not totally against it. But how can you have laws and regulations and rules in play that the neighbors had to abide by within visual distance, and I couldn't do or wouldn't do? So how can we change things? I know it's within your power and all that, and I'm not against it. I like Woody and Sandy, but I just think you've got a set of rules in play that need to be abided by. I did. It kept me from building a house for one of my sons to live on my property. Or his property. His name's on the deed too. I just have concerns with where we're going. So, I guess that's all I got to say. If you got any questions, I'll answer them. I do surround them on 3 sides. I bought the ground off of them. So,
I know it does not sound, I wouldn't be happy if I heard myself saying it, but when we discovered that it wasn't feasible for what we were doing, not allowing the other house to be built, the rules changed. So you unfortunately got stuck, as I'm correct, and you got stuck under the old rules, which we were wrong doing.
This was just a couple years ago.
Yeah,
Mine sits on 40 acres with a half a mile of road frontage.
yeah, we discovered the error of our ways, I think I'd be the best way to put it, and allow it now.
Well, what's the standards now?
Yeah, we changed the standards.
To what?
Yeah, I get 4 strikes, you only get 3.
But the standards is what? 2 acres?
Yeah, that would be a question for Ms. Parker. The rules changed. We adopted new rules. The county is constantly reviewing their rules and regulations and making changes as they see fit. They changed on January the 1st, 2022, I believe, for the new rules that we're operating under right now. I don't have an answer for you. Ms. Parker might during business hours, be able to answer that because we want to continue to conduct our meeting. But that's one of the reasons, I mean, the reason we're here is we're a Board of Zoning Appeals. So we hear the things that are outside the norm and take them case by case and review them. Did you come in front of us?
No, I didn't feel any need to, because he told me that unless I want to do this, this, or this, then I had to just tear the old house down when we got the new one done. And it was going to be for my son, who had done 2 tours in Iraq. So I'm not against what Sandy and Woody are trying to do. I like them, they're good people, probably good neighbors and all that. But I just think, I feel like I was kind of done over. The neighbors had to follow the rules and regulations, and this was just a year ago when this happened.
Yeah, without looking at the specifics on it, I can't talk to specifics, but I can tell you that when they changed the rules back in January, it was to address some things like this to make things more uniform. And quite frankly, in my mind, they allowed more of this type of thing, realizing that the population is aging, there is a need for this kind of accessory dwelling for caretakers, but,
Well, I have more concerns.
We don't have the answer for you, I'm sorry for that.
I just have concerns of what's going on and what will happen down the road. Woody and Sandy's the same boat I am, just like you said. We're all getting up there in the years.
Yeah.
So when I'm gone, I know mine's going to my son when he's gonna move here. What will happen to that place then? You know, is it gonna go to another child or something like that?
Well, I
Because
know-
you always want good neighbors, no
Right.
matter what.
Right. And we appreciate you coming in and saying this, and letting us know your frustration with it. Unfortunately, what we're addressing is their specific request tonight, not the rules in general, if that makes sense.
Well, is it gonna do, it will increase or decrease property values or anything like this?
I don't believe that it will decrease property values. It sounds like it's gonna be an aesthetically pleasing building. It'll be built similar to his residence. He's gonna meet all the rules and regulations and the building codes that are required for that.
I guess I'm more frustrated than anything is that because I was turned down, how can you continue to let others do?
Because the rules for that have changed. And the
So in other
rules
words,
now
I need to just come back and go get my, permits and start building then, basically.
Come in and talk to Ms. Parker and give her the specifics of what it is you'd like to do, and she'll give you excellent and expert guidance. in
The
that
guy come out and said everything looked great, except for that house was too close. About 200 and some feet away. And I have to tear it down, and that's non-productive. To tear down an existing house is just fine.
Okay, all right.
I just have a lot of
understand.
concerns.
All right, we appreciate you coming in. Thank you very much.
All right.
All right, I have no one else to speak on behalf of or as an interested party or in opposition to this, so at this time we'll end taking testimony. This is a request for a development standard variance. In order for the board to grant this tonight, we have to agree that the applicant has met 3 findings of facts. In the applicant's application, for the description of the request, they have written, we are seeking the variance to meet future needs as we age. We are trying to ensure that we have a dwelling that will meet our needs and that will allow us to remain in place with the ability to have caretakers be with us as needs change. Under section 2.1, the question is asked, or the statement is made, that the approval will not be injurious to the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare of the community. The applicant has written that that's a true statement, and to support that, goes on to write, the approval will actually contribute to the general welfare of the community as there will be an additional 2 sets of eyes to help keep an eye on the area. Under section 2.2, the statement is, the use and value of the area adjacent to the property included in the variance will not be affected in a substantially adverse manner. And the applicant responded by saying that's also a true statement and has written the use of the area adjacent to the property will not be impacted negatively. The surrounding area will enjoy an increase in value because of the addition of the new house. Under section 2.3, the statement is, the strict application of the terms of the ordinance will result in practical difficulties in the use of the property. The applicant indicates that's a true statement, and again, to support that, has written, since we are advancing in age, we want to make a home that will be easily accessible for us. That will be ADA compliant to allow us to age in place. We would like to have a guest room available to accommodate visits of our children and grandchildren who live out of state. For the technical reports, the health department states they have no objections, and note that a septic permit will be required for the proposed accessory dwelling unit. I do not see anything from the surveyor on this application. Staff's recommendation is, and they feel that the applicant has satisfied all three findings of facts and supports the petitioner's request to increase the living area by 550 square feet. Gentlemen, discussion on this application?
I don't know if we've rejected any other ones so far since we've implemented this new deal. I would be in support of it.
Other discussion, gentlemen? We've seen several of these, and it's not unusual to have one of these, maybe not at every meeting, but maybe every other, every third. And again, I guess go back to my statement earlier with the, you know, we're all aging, and I see a value in this, and I understand the neighbor's objection to it. He's not objecting to their specific request, but feels, again, as if he was wrong. His pursuit of something similar. Unfortunately, we don't have jurisdiction on that. So for this application in front of us this evening, I would also support this request. Any other discussion on this? No? That we will open for a motion.
Make this one your last motion? Make the motion. Go out and blaze of glory. Make the motion. Go out and blaze of glory.
What is the motion? I'll make the motion on this.
Public hearing.
Public hearing.
D 2502.
2502. Recommend that it be approved.
Thank you. I have a motion to approve with no conditions. Do I have a second to that motion?
Okay.
Thank you. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Say aye.
Aye.
It is approved. Thank you all very much, folks. Our next item on the agenda this evening is wishes to be heard. Luana Jackson regarding previously approved petition D-24-15. Okay, is Luana in the building this evening? Please come up.
My name's Luana Jackson, 6100 East Lynn Drive, Mooresville, Indiana, 46158.
How can we help you?
Well, I'm here to talk with you guys today. We were here on October 28th, and we were granted an approval on a petition for a variance for fence with a restriction that we complete the other side for the neighbors. And we've attempted several times for approval to access their property to do the work, and they repeatedly told us no, that we're not allowed on their property. So I'm here to ask if you would possibly lift that restriction on us since they're not going to let us on that property. They've posted no trespassing signs. And our installers try to request access. He's even offered to do extra work for them at no labor cost, to pull back their chain link and replace it for them, and they repeatedly refuse.
And what's the neighbor's name?
Instroms.
I'm sorry?
Chris and Carol Instrom.
All right, I'm just reading through some notes here that were included in your request this evening.
Is your fence built directly on the property line?
I believe so.
Because I know we were talking there about the chain link fence they've got that, and the weeds, which they're gonna see and not you, and
They're bed up to each other.
looks like your fence builder did an admirable job of trying to accomplish
Thank you.
getting the fence done.
We've even told them that we will make it look as nice on their side as our side, and it was a no exclamation mark. We cannot access their property.
Ms. Parker or Mr. Peden, thoughts on this?
Appears that the contractor has bent over backwards to accommodate them, offering to fix things, and I guess if you don't want a piece of pie, you don't get it. That's all I can say. I thought in the meeting, when we put these conditions in, that they were all supportive of it. Obviously, it was wrong, but,
I don't remember them being particularly happy that we approved it with conditions. I think they were looking for a flat out
no way.
no from us on that, as I recall.
There's not much you can do if they won't let you on their property to fix it.
We really only have two choices. We either have to rescind what was in our original motion about them having to turn the fence, or they're gonna have to move that fence back into their property where they can mow between there and there. That's your only choices with this. When you build a fence on a property line, you need to clear it first, but you have no right on their property. And that's, I believe Mr. Peden would tell you that. You have no right to go over there. As someone who's built a few fences, and I'm sure Mr. Rumball's built a few fences in his day, he probably knows that too, but.
You're one side to the other side, they go the other way.
Really, we only have two choices with it.
After reading all the stuff here that the contractor offered to do and to really make their side of the fence look nice, as I indicated, there's a chain link fence there that either they're gonna have to do a lot of spraying with Roundup or something like that, and to keep the weeds down, or put up with an ugly section like that. And like I said, I would just say, let's revoke the need to put up the fence, the boards on their side of the fence. Can't give somebody something they don't want.
Other discussion, gentlemen?
I got one question. Is the chain link fence on your property?
On their property,
Pardon?
on their side, on their property.
Their property or your property?
The chain link
Theirs.
is on their property,
On their property?
yes.
The one that's got the wooden fence?
Ours is the wooden
There's a wood
fence,
fence.
Oh, yours is a wooden fence.
yes. And the installers,
So the chain link fence is on their property and your fence is on your property, right?
correct, the wood
Property
fence,
line almost?
yes.
They want to turn those boards back over to make it look nice on their neighbors.
On towards the back of our stuff, we can see the fence, their chain link fence, which is a standard size yard type fence, the way it looks to me. And, it's up against the other fence, it's not encroaching on it. This last page that we have here, gives you an indication of way the fence goes. I thought I could see it in there, but I didn't imagine anything, with my reading glasses on now. But,
What would this board have to do to take that language out of the original motion?
As I understand it, the contractor, and I would think most contractors would probably follow the same vein, so to speak, isn't gonna trespass on somebody's property for fear of repercussions against them for doing so.
but with them not wanting the fence to be fixed, how do we negate having them do it? Do we just move on this and say there is no need for them to put up boards on their side of the fence? Because it's gonna require messing with their chain link fence. They didn't want that, and the wordage I have here, from a simplicity stake, just leave it the way it is. Well, gotta make money for you lawyers some way. Just an easy, cheap shot, Mark. But, I mean, just,
There's a lot of animosity here between neighbors, and I think that even if we have the force of law to allow them to go off, I think that's just adding oil to the fire, gas to the fire. And, they obviously don't care about seeing the support side because you tried to get that corrected, and they've made efforts to no avail, so they must be okay with seeing that side of the fence. Or they think that you won't lift that requirement, and then they'd be forced to move it or take it down. So I don't know what their strategy is, but if you have a path to just resolve this now and not continue the animosity that's occurring there or make it worse. So it's completely up to you, but
Mr. Rimbaugh, are you inquiring about what is the technical part, the steps that we would need to follow to revoke our previous imposition on a condition of approval that they remove the fencing boards that make it so that the posts aren't visible to the neighbors? That was what we were looking for.
I think there's possibly two options, and one, either we vote to remove what we did and then just say they can have the fence the way it is with a new motion, if we can do that legally, and I don't know that, Mark. Or we could just say that a portion of that, which would require them to do that fence on the other side, is lifted. Which of those two would be the best? Just revote on what the original request was, to leave the fence up and go there, or to just not eliminate that, but just say, we're going to eliminate the portion that says they have to put boards up on that side. Which in effect is going to leave it just the way it is.
I've got a question. My neighbor has a wooden fence next to my property, but her nice boards are on my side of the fence. They come loose all the time, I gotta repair them. If they're on their side, I don't think they're gonna let you repair them.
They're not gonna let us.
So if you gotta repair a board on your side, it's a lot easier to repair it from your side than it is to get on their side, because if the fence is right next to each other, and if they're talking about weeds and that stuff, that's what they make Roundup for. You don't wanna get carried away, but I mean, if you wanna get rid of the weeds out of the chain link fence, they use a little bit of Roundup. That's an old farm boy saying that. But to me, the fence on either side of this looks pretty nice. But if you put boards on their side and they go bad, you gotta get over to fix them. How you gonna fix them?
They won't even let us over there to finish the other side and make it look nice for them. They've no trespassing signs, and multiple attempts to ask,
I'd say it's 6 to 1, half dozen the other, myself.
We just like to get this behind us and quit fooling with it. We were hoping to get it done for them, and that's not going to be an option.
I think I made that motion, didn't I, to approve that? What was I thinking?
Put your finger to it.
Gordon seconded it.
And Gordon seconded it. Thank you. All right.
And I'll still second it.
All right. So when I made this motion, here, this was my line of thinking on that, is that the fence, we had a couple of issues. One, it was, as I remember, it was taller than what was allowed.
10, 8, 6, 4.
All right. Then we had the secondary issue of the post should be facing the property owner that owns the fence, not the neighbor, correct? So my thought was, I understand the need for this fence, I support the need for the fence, but let's have it at least installed properly. Meaning the board's facing the other side.
Well, then we made,
Hang on,
Yeah.
I'm gonna cut you off there for a second.
that's fine.
While I'm finishing thinking back to November, all right? I'm trying to remember what I had for lunch today. Anyway, that was why I made the motion to approve that. But also the back of my mind was, had they put the boards on the right side of the fence to begin with, it would have made that a lot easier. Maybe the neighbors wouldn't have been as upset, I don't know. But as it seems now, since the neighbors aren't allowing them access, that the aesthetics of that, as far as which side of the post the boards are on, is kind of a non-issue.
null and void.
So I would go back to my thought process originally of them putting in a taller than allowed fence. I would still support that because obviously there's some issues going on. Fences make good neighbors in my mind. So I would support changing that, withdrawing that, whatever we need to do. I'm just asking for what's the technical process? What motion do I need to make? Do I need to make a motion that we revise our ruling back on November, whenever that was?
28th.
October, or the revise, I'm gonna make some notes here. Our requirement.
Our November
In our,
meeting.
at our October meeting, when we approved this, to have the boards, the post, the support post face the property owner, the applicant, as opposed to the neighbors as it currently is, that we remove that requirement as part of our approval.
You can make a motion to construe the November ruling to be that the post supposed to be on the applicant's side of the fence.
Okay, all right,
We're just trying to interpret it.
okay, all right. So I'm willing to attempt to make that motion. Do we have other discussion though before we go down that road, and Bill, I cut you off?
No, that's fine, Danny was wrong, but, you know, they couldn't have built the fence the other way. They couldn't have stood in their property and screwed in all those boards.
No, they could have offset off the property line.
Huh?
They could have offset from the property line and achieved that.
I would be totally opposed to not building my fence on the property line. Granted, I don't live anywhere near neighbors, but,
But even if you had the boards on their side of the fence,
yeah, but they couldn't have
make
been
it
on their
look
property
nice.
to build
If
it.
you're gonna repair a board, are they gonna let you on the property to repair it?
That's why you offset. I mean, that's why they should have offset to begin with.
Well, the reason.
So if you offset, you can't get in there and I spray on my side of the fence, particularly where I can't bush hog. You know, Jason and I have a fence, he's gonna build half, I'm gonna build half, and we're gonna meet in the middle, and, he said if we gotta go down a real steep gully or something really terrible, that we've gotta help share that cost and stuff like that. And somebody said good fences make better neighbors. If you can refuse medical help at a wreck, they're refusing what we thought was a good idea, and obviously didn't work out that way. Let's just say you don't have to get on their property and do the fence. Keep it very simple. Would that cause a lawsuit later? Just let it go the way it is right now. The boards are on her side of the fence. They don't want them on their side of the fence. Their choice.
You got your motion ready, John?
If we're done having a discussion, I do.
State your motion one more time, please.
All right, I haven't made it the first time. I'm still trying to think of how I'm gonna say, all right. So my motion that I'm gonna make is that the board, remove our condition that we imposed at our October meeting where we approved D-24-15, which required the applicant to put the support post on the inside of the fence facing their residence as opposed to the current placement of those support posts which face the adjoining property owner's property. That condition be removed as a note that the neighbor has made numerous attempts themselves and through their contractor to access the neighbor's property to facilitate what we imposed upon them at that meeting and have been denied access to their property.
You're a golden-tongued advocate.
I just want to get it in there of what it is we approve, what we want to change and why, or at least in my motion, to reflect my thinking on it.
I can do that.
What would they do if you said, I don't like their chain fence?
What's on their property?
It's on their property.
Well, her fence is on her property.
Her fence didn't meet the requirements when she built it, and that's why she came in front of us. It was too tall. If she'd have built it at 6 feet, she'd have never came in front of us, other than the fence post, and that would have been resolved, I guess, the same way. I don't know. Anyway, I'm happy to make that motion when we're done with discussion, but I want to allow all the time that we feel we need for discussion.
I agree with it. It just basically says we're gonna leave it be the way it is right now.
Yep. I'll be more wordy than that, as I always am, but,
You want a second?
well, we're just trying to get through discussion here.
That's my discussion.
All right, any other discussion?
Silver tongue.
Okay, cut it off. All right, I'm gonna make a motion that the board, in regards to D-24-15, which we, originally heard and approved with a condition back in October of '24, I'm gonna make a motion that we remove that condition. And that condition was that the applicant, fix the fence so that the support post structures face not the adjoining property owner, but her property herself. And I'm making that motion because the applicant, in trying to meet our condition of doing that, has to be able to access the neighbor's property to remove those boards, and the neighbor has refused them access to their property to do so, to be in compliance with our request. That is my motion.
I'll second.
Or do you want to repeat it? All right, we have a motion and a second, I'm sorry. All in favor, please raise your right hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye, it is approved. Thank you.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The fence just stays the way it is.
I hope not to see you anymore.
Don't confuse
No
me.
offense in any way.
We're on the microphone
It's
here.
been
We
a
probably,
pleasure.
ma'am, we probably should end this discussion right now.
Thank you.
We've made our ruling. You're welcome to stay or you're free to go. Thank you. All right, staff reports this evening. BZA attorneys report. Mr. Peden, do we have anything this evening? I agree with that, thank you. Anything else, Mr. Peden? Thank you. Ms. Parker?
Have a meeting in March.
Thank you. Anything else? As I understand, Jerry, you're not going to be at our March meeting, is that correct?
I don't think I will.
Or any other future meetings? Moving to Florida?
Yes, it's warmer there.
Well, thank you, sir, for all your service to the county. We appreciate it and wish you nothing but the best.
The county,
I would hope that he has much more interesting things to do in Florida.
I could double our viewership, though. Be sure to do that.
All right, gentlemen, that's all I have on the agenda. Any other business that needs to be conducted this evening?
I just want to say that the county and the residents really deserve the people running this office.
Thank you, I agree. Ms. Parker and her staff do a fantastic job.
yes. Even when they're not at fault from years ago.
All right, open for a motion to adjourn, please. Thank you, second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you all very much.